Fix this, kid, and I'll give you $100 million. Dr. Harrison Blake didn't whisper it. He didn't hide it. He tossed a challenge like a grenade across the polished conference table, his voice echoing off the glass walls of Blake Biotech's 42nd floor boardroom. Executives froze. Assistants glanced up from tablets. Even the smart screens lining the walls seemed to hold their breath. And the kid he was talking to? A maid's daughter. A girl no one ever bothered to look at twice. A girl who wasn't even supposed to be in the room. Her name was Maya Quinn, 17 years old, wearing a faded hoodie 2 sizes too big, sleeves stretched over her hands. She had followed her mother to the office because the school buses were shut down after a city-wide strike. To pass the time, she sat silently in the corner while her mother mopped in the hallway. But when the company's top engineers failed to solve the glitch on the quantum neural core, a device that could revolutionize medical diagnostics, Harrison exploded, barking at everyone in the room. That's when Maya, without meaning to, muttered under her breath. It's a recursive loop. You're feeding the input back into itself without gating. She didn't think anyone had heard her, but Harrison had. Every head turned. The girl shrank back into her chair, cheeks burning. "You," Harrison said, pointing. "Say that again." Maya shook her head. I wasn't talking to you. You are now. Stand up." Her mother, Maria, rushed in from the hallway, horrified. "Sir," she didn't mean to interrupt. She's just a child. But Harrison wasn't listening. The man was a storm contained in a tailored suit, ambition wrapped in impatience. His company was weeks away from losing a $1 billion government contract because the prototype kept crashing. Nobody could find the problem. Not the engineers with PhDs. Not the consultants flown in from Silicon Valley. But this girl, this quiet teenager, had pointed out the exact mechanism they had been struggling with for months. "Explain it," he demanded. Maya swallowed hard. "It's you build a neural mesh that mimics organic brain pathways, right?" The engineers nodded reluctantly. "So you try to make it self-optimizing. But the self-correction algorithm doesn't have a stabilizer. Every time it checks for errors, it generates more because it's reading its own data as fresh input. It spirals." Harrison narrowed his eyes. "And what's the fix?" "You need a regulatory gate. Something that closes off the source while the system cycles. Like," she glanced around, searching for something familiar, like a synaptic refractory period. The room fell silent. One of the senior engineers cleared his throat. "That actually makes sense." Another whispered, "Why didn't we see that?" A third tapped rapidly on his tablet, running calculations. If she's right, the system could stabilize within minutes. Harrison stepped closer to Maya, towering, intimidating. "You're telling me you solved what 32 of the highest-paid scientists in the country could not?" "No," she said quickly. "I just noticed something." Harrison studied her like she was a specimen under a microscope. "What's your name?" "Maya." "How old are you?" 17. "And what school teaches this level of quantum architecture?" She hesitated. "None. I just read." Her mother's face crumpled with worry. "Mr. Blake, please." She didn't mean to disrespect. "Quiet," Harrison said, but not cruelly this time. More stunned. He turned back to Maya. "Fix this, kid, and I'll give you $100 million. Gasps exploded around the room. Executives stiffened. One engineer choked on his coffee. Maria grabbed Maya's arm. "Sir, please, that's ridiculous." But Harrison wasn't joking. His eyes burned with the rare gleam of a man who had just discovered treasure buried under his own office floor. "Get her a workstation," he ordered. "Now." "But, sir, she's a minor." "Then someone sign a waiver." "But the board." "I am the board." Chaos erupted. Assistants sprinted to clear a desk. Engineers argued about protocol. Maria tried to pull Maya toward the exit, but Harrison blocked the doorway. "You walk out," he said, "and you walk away from the biggest opportunity your daughter will ever have." Maria hesitated. Maya's heart slammed against her ribs. She didn't want attention. She didn't want pressure. She didn't want $100 million. All she wanted was for her mother to stop worrying about rent and medication and overdue bills. So she took a seat at the workstation. Her hands shook as she typed. Lines of code filled the screen, thousands upon thousands like dense tangled vines. She scanned them quickly, her mind slicing through complexity with the ease of breathing. Patterns emerged. Errors glowed like red flags. Solutions whispered from between the lines. She felt the room crowd around her, but she blocked them out. Click, scroll, edit, compile. For 12 minutes, she didn't speak a word. Then she hit enter. The screen flashed. The system hummed. The quantum neural core, which had been crashing for 6 months straight, stabilized instantly. The diagnostic bar turned green for the first time since the project had begun. Silence. Then, my God, an engineer breathed. She did it. The room erupted into applause, disbelief, shock. Harrison Blake didn't applaud. He stared at Maya with a dawning expression of awe and something else, something calculating, something dangerous. Because the moment she fixed the problem, she became more valuable than the entire team combined. And value, in Harrison Blake's world, was never left undefended, not even by promises like $100 million. The applause died slowly, replaced by a heavy, electrified silence. Engineers exchanged uneasy glances. The board members whispered among themselves, because everyone in that gleaming room knew what had just happened. A maid's daughter had done the impossible, and impossible things always come with a price. Harrison Blake stepped forward, adjusting his tie as if preparing for a negotiation with a foreign government. His entire persona shifted, less explosive, more strategic, a predator smoothing his feathers before striking. "Maya," he said, voice low, calm, "do you understand what you just did?" Maya kept her hands folded on her lap to hide the trembling. "I just fixed a loop. You saved a multi-billion-dollar project," Harrison corrected. "You saved my company. You may have saved an entire industry." She didn't know what to say. She didn't want praise. She didn't want attention. She wanted her mother to stop gripping her shoulder like a life raft. "I just read things," she whispered. Harrison smiled, tight, unreadable. "Knowledge is nothing without application. You applied." Maria stepped protectively in front of Maya. "Sir, with respect, she's a minor. She needs to go home. This was all a mistake. Please, just let us leave." "Oh, no," Harrison said. "This is not a mistake." He tapped his tablet. A dozen screens lit up around the room, displaying rolling numbers, market projections, contract values, future profits of the neural mesh device now that it finally worked. "We go public with this breakthrough in 72 hours, he said. "Investors will flood in. Governments will line up. Medical institutions will beg us for access. And that," he pointed straight at Maya, "is the girl who solved it." Maya shrank. Maria stiffened. "She's not a mascot." "No," Harrison agreed. "She's a phenomenon." And that scared Maria even more. Harrison leaned closer to Maya. "Do you like school?" She blinked. "Not really." "Good. Because I can get you tutors better than any school curriculum on the planet. I can pull strings for early university admission. I can set you up with your own research team. The world will know your name." "I don't want that," Maya blurted. The room froze. Harrison studied her carefully, as though recalibrating a machine. "Then what do you want?" Maya looked at her mother. Rent notices stacked on the kitchen table. Her mother's aching back. The long night spent cleaning offices just to keep the lights on. "I want my mom to stop working 14 hours a day," she whispered. "I want her to rest." Maria's eyes flooded. Harrison exhaled, almost relieved. "That's easy." And that was the moment everything changed. Because while Maya had solved a problem in 12 minutes, she had also unintentionally created another. A human one, a financial one, a legal one. And the problem was her value. The engineers began packing up, murmuring among themselves. Some congratulated her awkwardly. Others avoided eye contact entirely, as if her presence threatened their years of education. But one man didn't move. Dr. Leon Mercer, head of the Neural Mesh Project, stared at Maya with a coldness that made her spine tighten. He was the one who had originally developed the flawed system. He was a company science star, or had been, until a girl in a hoodie saw what he could not. He walked over slowly. "You shouldn't be here," he said under his breath. Maria tightened her grip on Maya's hand. "We're leaving." Leon stepped aside, but his eyes warned her. This isn't over. Harrison intercepted them at the door. "You're not going anywhere until we finalize terms." "What terms?" Maria snapped. "The payout," he said simply. "That was a joke." Maria insisted. He was angry. He didn't mean... "I meant every word," Harrison interrupted. $100 million for her contribution. Maya's breath caught. It didn't feel real. It didn't even feel possible. Her vision blurred with confusion and fear. $100 million on one condition. Maria stiffened. What condition? "She works for me." "No," Maria said instantly. "Yes," Harrison said with equal firmness. "She's a child. She's a genius. She has school. I'll buy her a school. She has a life. She has a future. A monumental one." Maya's heartbeat pounded in her ears. The entire world felt too loud, too bright, too suffocating. "I didn't fix it for money," she whispered. "I know," Harrison said. "That's what makes you worth investing in." He offered his hand to her, a handshake that could change her entire existence. But before she could react, alarms suddenly blared across the entire floor. Red lights flashed. Doors auto-locked with sharp metallic click. Engineers jumped. Executives panicked. Harrison spun toward a security chief. "What is it?" "Sir, the neural core is destabilizing." "That's impossible," Harrison barked. "She fixed it." "She did, but someone's tampered with the live system." Maya's heart crashed into her ribs. Someone was undoing her work. Sabotage. Harrison glared at Mercer across the room. "Leon," he growled, "what did you do?" Mercer lifted his hands. "Nothing. But if the system is destabilizing, then the child didn't fix it. She just delayed the inevitable." "She fixed it," Harrison said. "If it's failing, someone is forcing it to fail." The engineers crowded the screens. The core's reading spiked violently. Diagnostics flashed red. The stabilizer function Maya had added was being overwritten in real time. Maya stepped forward before she could stop herself. "They're rewriting my code." Harrison turned to her sharply. "Can you stop them?" Maybe. I'd have to get into the live channel." "Then do it." Maria grabbed her. "No, she's done enough. We need to go." But Maya wasn't afraid of computer. She was afraid of the people. She sat again, fingers flying across the keys, diving into layers of encrypted architecture she had never seen before. Someone skilled, very skilled, was dismantling her corrections. Her stomach twisted. Whoever it was had been waiting for this moment. "I can trace them," she said through clenched teeth. "Do it," Harrison ordered. Lines of data streamed across the screen. A signal pulsed in the core. A foreign command line popped into view. And then a name. Mercer _ of access override priority. Level 1. Harrison's face darkened like a thundercloud. "Leon," he said, "step away from the desk." But Leon didn't step back. He ran. Security lunged after him, shouting. Maya's eyes widened as the core reading spiked to catastrophic levels. "He's trying to make it explode," she yelled. "Shut it down." Harrison roared. "I can't." The system buckled. The room shook. Sparks erupted from the prototype chamber behind the glass wall. "May move," her mother screamed. But Maya didn't move. She slammed both hands on the keyboard. Come on, gate close." The system blazed white. Alarms wailed. The core detonated with a thunderous crack. And everything went dark. Not silent. Not calm. Just dark. Smoke curled through the air. Electricity flickered. People coughed and scrambled. Harrison stood in shock. Engineers hid behind desks. Maria screamed her daughter's name. "Maya." But Maya was still seated at the terminal. Alive. Shaking. Covered in dust. And the core? Stabilized. Again. Harrison stared at her, like she was some kind of mythical creature resurrected from a lab explosion. Then he said 3 quiet, breathless words. "You're coming with me.